As you know by now, we get you context on how the situation is looking throughout parts of the country. Our Karinda Jagmohan is at the Rock in Durban. And Karinda, we've seen there a dynamic where it appears the opposition is losing some ground in some respects. That means the ANC will be watching quite closely as those results continue to come in, currently standing at around 58% of the total vote.
That's correct, Ayanda. A change in the KwaZulu-Natal map from what we've seen in 2016. I'm seeing more IFP colors, especially in northern KwaZulu-Natal. But what is interesting is the new wins by the DA and the NFP. Let's start with the NFP. I'm just taking a look at the IEC dashboard. They have seemingly taken over the Edumbe municipality. That's northern KwaZulu-Natal, known as Zululand. And it's a first for the National Freedom Party. They've never won a municipality before, and they're anticipating an announcement that they've won over this municipality. It's still a small margin that they've won by. They've got 33% support there. ANC standing at 23 support in that municipality. IFP also at 23 support. So the NFP just marginally higher than other parties. What's interesting is they held their final election rally in Edumbe. Yesterday we spoke to one of their members. One of her comments was that at this point it's interesting to see how the map is changing and political parties need to introspect to why there was low voter turnout. In KwaZulu-Natal, a reminder, Ayanda, is that there was at least 36% voter turnout in KwaZulu-Natal by Monday evening. Some votes are still being counted at this time, but that is the average mark the IEC is standing at. That municipality was previously an ANC stronghold at 50%, but they've lost that. The IFP also gaining ground in northern KwaZulu-Natal. Northern KZN is their stronghold as well, but we're seeing their reach increasing towards the inner parts of the province, more towards the western parts of the province, like Okashlamba. This is the Drakensberg, Bergville area. What is interesting about Okashlamba is that the NFP breakaway party, the African People's Movement, is gaining ground there as well. So really a loss for the ANC in these areas, but also a major loss for the ANC in the Umgeni municipality. That is the Howick-Moy River area in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands. The DA yesterday announced their win of this municipality. It was one of the municipalities they were campaigning to take over during the election season. They've seemingly done this. Votes are almost about tallied there, and it shows an outright DA win at 47%, ANC at 39% there, EFF at 6% in that municipality. Other losses from the ANC wins going to the EFF, especially in Ndwedwe. This is where the Premier, Sihle Zikalala, the ANC chairperson in KwaZulu-Natal, resides, and he voted there. But the ANC support sitting at just 51% there. Lots of red. The IFP at the EFF rather at 9%. But we are still waiting to see results come out for the eThekwini Metro Municipality. It has been delayed. Auditing being done there, especially because the allegations of voter fraud in this metro municipality. Remember, it is the economic hub of the province, so this metro is extremely important in terms of handling how economic affairs are conducted in KwaZulu-Natal. It's also one of the economic hubs for the country as well, home to the port of Durban. Currently in eThekwini, we're seeing the ANC sitting at 40%, the D8 at 30%, and the EFF at 9%. There's also a splash of Action SA in one of the wards. They've also won a ward in Kwadukuza as well as another ward in Newcastle. So Action SA also coming up, as my colleague Zianda mentioned. We also hear that while votes are still being tallied for the eThekwini Metro Municipality, on the ground, party agents of the DA have announced they've taken over some wards for the ANC, particularly some of the beachfront wards. Also very important when you think about tourism there. So lots of change happening on the KwaZulu-Natal map. When you just look at KZN as a whole on the IEC dashboard, you see much more of the pink and dark brown colors as well as yellow. That is the IFP, NFP and DA. A change absolutely happening here in this province. But Of course, only 58% of votes have been counted. This could change by the end of the day. We're yet to see what's going to happen to our other municipalities. KZN has been very slow in terms of counting votes. Like my colleague Zianda mentioned, lots of concerns surfacing against the IEC and the apparent challenges that has been carried out, as well as the apparent voter fraud and allegations of voter fraud we are seeing across this province in areas like Umbumbulu, where a presiding officer was arrested for ballot stuffing, as well as volatile situations happening during the election days in some areas of KZN. But only time will tell. By this afternoon we'll have a clearer picture, especially about what's happening in eThekwini, the economic hub of KZN. I'm also interested though to know what's happening in the Western Cape. My colleague Nasiphi Same is at the IEC ROC there. Nasiphi, what's happening in the mother city?
Well, indeed, some changes here in the Western Cape as well. I mean, looking at the map, the ANC making some inroads in a number of municipalities, including New Kids on the Block like Good and the PA, Patriotic Alliance, painting the map of the Western Cape blue. I mean, the PA newly formed, or rather not so newly formed, however, making a bit of inroad up in the west coast, where we have seen them having a significant dominance in municipalities like the Masikama. We do understand that particular municipality in the 2016 local government elections was won outright by the Democratic Alliance. However, after a motion of no confidence, we saw the ANC taking over that municipality. Ultimately, the DA was very confident that come these local government elections, seeing that they were sitting over 60% in the 2016 local government elections, that they will be able to retain that municipality once again. However, we are seeing that the Patriotic Alliance obviously solidified themselves in the West Coast, and I'll just take you to the provincial board here of the IEC, and just we understand that here in the Western Cape, according to the IEC, there's only 14 municipalities that are hung, and we do know that about three councils have not been calculated. The Democratic Alliance is currently sitting at 53.44%, and that means they have 119 seats. The ANC is currently sitting at 19.29%. ICOZA, which is one of the parties that is very dominant within the Karoo region, they also have quite a number of percentage there, 1.13. Good, which is one of the parties that is newly formed by the former mayor of the city of Cape Town, Patricia de Lille. They have 4.8%. VF Plus, surprisingly, have significantly grown following the previous elections, sitting at 3.66. And also the Patriotic Alliance, who are one of the new kids on the block in the Western Cape, particularly 2.8%, meaning that they've got 3 seats in a ward. However, I think it's also important to note that in municipalities like the Cedarburg municipality, where the ANC, as much as it's not an outright majority, they do have quite a large proportion of the number of votes that they received there, including a local, rather a smaller party, or a local party rather, that is the Cedarburg East. So quite interesting to look at the Western Cape map following the votes that have been trickling in since yesterday and after the elections, taking into account how the communities that we visited have said on numerous occasions that they want change. However, majority of Western Cape people that we've spoken to have ultimately, many of them said that they will not be voting, and basically just expressing voter fatigue as to promises made and promises not being kept. But we will be keeping you updated in terms of any changes on this particular board. However, it was expected that obviously the DA will remain victorious in these local government elections. But also what's important to note, in the city of Cape Town, which is one of the metros that many of the political parties were gunning for, we see parties that are actually making inroads, like the Cape Coloured Congress, sitting at above 5%, which is quite interesting because majority of their stronghold is in places such as the Cape Flats. So clearly there it shows that a number of people are trusting the smaller parties with their vote, and obviously hoping that they will make some sort of changes in council regarding service delivery in the next 5 years.
Well, thanks very much for that. Nasiphi Same is live to us there in the Western Cape. Yep, and Cape Town certainly one of those big metros that we're tracking for you in our rolling coverage here on Newzroom 405. As you can see, our team of reporters and anchors are on the ground for you around the country as we continue to bring you that rolling coverage as the election results start to trickle in. The issue of voter turnout yesterday highlighted by the IEC as well, when it said 12.1 million voters actually rocked up and made their mark on ballot papers. That's of the 26 million that had registered to vote in these local government elections. Staggering numbers, that. Just part of the story we're unpacking for you right here throughout the day on Channel 405.